Hello. Hello, so good dentist. How are you? Oh, I'm having a case of the Monday. Having a case of it's Monday. No, it's not. It's not even Monday. Oh my gosh, it is Monday. I'm just going crazy. Yeah, see? Mondays. Should have an interview in the next 4 minutes or so. I made this spreadsheet today for my students. I think it's pretty interesting. Basically, it's some goals, and then you load your games, and it'll give you stats for your games after you fill it out. The numbers for each of your games. Just getting everything set up. I was worried Bats would be live, and I wouldn't have any viewers. Not gonna lie, because Mondays. Hello, can you hear me? Test 1, 2. Okay, good. Cool, cool. It says you are muted. Mic access denied. That's not good. Never heard of that. Hmm, that's odd. The only thing I can suggest is to go to the gear icon on the bottom left and click on voice and video under app settings on the left, and then see if it's got the right microphone and whatnot selected. No, I don't see you either. If you can set up a Google Screen Share or Google Call, I can also do Google. I think Zoom doesn't allow recordings unless you are a premium member, but I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with Zoom. Do you want to try Google then? Let's see, what is it? Google's is it Google Meet? See if I can get this working. I think I do have a Google Meet set up if you want to try that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Awesome.
All right. Yeah, I had to go into my browser settings to do that. Now, if we can get the video working, let's see, turn on camera.
There we go.
Oh,
I
you
can
got it?
see. Yep.
Yeah.
I got you right here.
All right.
Okay. There we go. And I got
And I
it.
don't really have a good place to sit to do this, but I guess it's not.
It's not
Does that look okay to you?
not a big deal. Yeah, I think it looks great. Um,
Yeah, there's a bunch of cluttery stuff in the background, so I'm trying to avoid showing that.
yeah, no worries. Um,
Okay.
okay, if I am ready to go, if you are.
All right. One question I have here
Mhm.
is, you haven't started recording yet, right?
Um, I can start the recording whenever we're ready. Yeah.
Okay. So it always okay.
Okay, I think we're good to go. So first off, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your involvement in the Go community? Who are you in the Go world?
Why am I in the Go world? My name is Richard Newman, Rich. Most people call me Rich. Um, and I live in Colorado in the Denver metro area. And I have been playing Go for, well, since 2007. So I guess that's 18 years now.
I think I started
Um,
about the same time you did, actually.
well, uh, okay. We're in good company, I guess. Um, so I just got started. I guess I was just looking for a spare time activity, another
Mm.
enjoyable activity, and I discovered that there was actually a Kids Go Club, advertised as a Kids Go Club, that met in a library really not far from where I live. So I just wandered over there and on a Saturday afternoon and started playing. I didn't know very much about the game at the time. I mean, I knew what it looked like and I knew it was about surrounding territory, but pretty much that's it. And I guess I just kept at it really.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about your role at Congress? What is the plans this year?
The plan for me this year is to, well, let me back up a little bit. I started volunteering a little bit a few years ago.
Mhm.
And so the last 3 years since we started having in-person congresses again. The last 3 years, I have been running the self-paired tournament and the Baum Prize event. Those are both obviously a little bit different from, the normal tournaments, because they're both really self-paired and people just play their games and submit the results. So my job as a tournament director is really just data entry primarily. People turn in result slips and I record them, and then I declare the winners at the end of the week. Last year, the first 2 years I did this, the Baum Prize was really not a very big deal. So last year we really pushed it and really promoted it a lot. And Terry Benson announced that he had plenty of prize money to give away, lots of cash prizes, and it got quite a bit bigger than the self-paired event. So this year I'm only doing the Baum Prize. I just refused to do them both because I spent most of my off time last year just doing data entry.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Baum tournament? What is it, and what is the story behind it?
Sure. My understanding is what happened is there was a Go player by the name of Leonard Baum, and I never met the man. I don't remember ever meeting him, but he passed away several years ago, and the story is that he really enjoyed playing Go, particularly with younger children. And so after he passed, his daughter established a prize fund with the American Go Foundation to honor him. And the way that they chose to do that was to set up the Baum Prize event, which is kind of like a self-paired tournament, but with a bit of a twist. So the idea is that one player has to be under 16 years old. So, if you're 15 at the beginning of this year's Congress, then you're in. But anyway, so one player has to be 15 or younger, and the other player has to be at least 40 years older. So the idea is to encourage or incentivize kids to play Go with people who are much older, like their grandparents' age. And so there are prizes for the kids, the youth. There's prizes for the most games won, of course, and the most games played. And we also have the fun prizes for the biggest age difference.
Have the prizes been announced yet, or are they still in the works?
The prizes are on the webpage. So there's on the Congress website. If you drill down to where the tournaments are, you'll see the list of prizes for the Baum Prize. And maybe, I don't know if there's a way that you can show that website.
Yeah, I'm showing it now.
Oh, okay. So there they are. You found it. I can't remember what they're all called, but you get the idea. So there's 3 prizes for the biggest age differences, and those are both for the children and the adults. They're, of course, the most games won, and there's kind of a joke prize for the most games lost by an adult. And last year, go ahead.
I was just going to go through them really quick, and then you can tell me a little bit more about your favorites, I guess. So we have the Badger, the player age 11 and younger, who plays the largest number of older players. The Striver, youth 12 to 15, who plays the largest number of older players. The Elder Slayer, young player who beats the largest number of adults. The Dawn Destroyer, young player who beats the largest number of Dawn-level adults. The Old Hand, adult who plays the most games. The Encourager, adult who loses the most games. The Teacher, the player who gives the most 9-stone or higher teaching games. And across the ages, 3 pairs of players having games with the greatest age difference. Sound about right?
Yep, that sounds right.
Is there anything you want to add to any of those details?
Well, there is one thing that's not on the webpage, and I asked this question. I never got an answer yet. But last year, last year what happened was Perry Perry Benson with the American Go Foundation really, partly because of the pandemic and partly because of low participation in the Bound Prize event, he had really quite a lot of prize money to give away. So he announced, so last year we really promoted it heavily compared to previous years. And he announced more than once that he would give $20 to every young player who played at least 5 Bound Prize games, whether they come in the top or not. Play 5 games, you get $20. Now, honestly, I don't know if he's going to do that again this year, but last year that was an additional thing that didn't appear on the website, and I think it made a lot of difference in improving participation.
That's cool. I unfortunately wasn't able to make it last year. I made it the year before, so I knew about the event, but I didn't hear about how it went last year.
I suspect you're in the age category that really can't participate anyway. Is
Yeah,
that
I can't
correct?
participate, but I had several of my friends and students were telling me about how they kept getting challenged by these little kids. They would just come up to them just randomly, "Hey, you want to play?" And they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and showing off the cash prizes really made a difference, I think. So I got to say, the first 2 years I did this, it really wasn't well known, and I mentioned it to people, and they didn't know what I was talking about.
Hmm.
So last year we really heavily promoted it, like I said, and participation went from around 30 to 40 games in 22 and 23 to last year. I think there was 188 games
Oh,
played.
that's much better.
So yeah, I was really pleased that our efforts paid off there. On the other hand, like I said, I was running the self-paired tournament also,
Hmm.
so it turned out to be a pretty big time commitment.
Gotcha. Well, your efforts are
But
appreciated, I'm sure.
well, thank you. Um, yeah,
So,
so I really enjoyed it. I think and other people seem to really like it a lot. So I'm glad people know about it now, and we're gonna promote it as hard as we need to this year again.
can we expand a little bit on how it is structured? So it's not part of is it part of the official schedule? Is it like on the schedule, or is it a more casual side event?
It's more casual. There's no official schedule except for, the start time is on sometime on Saturday. I think the website says 5 p.m.
Hmm.
Games before that will probably, if will probably be counted anyway. And it goes until I think 9 p.m. on the following Friday. So not really the entire week, but
So
but
even on the day off, players can play each other.
any anytime, yes. And it's very much like the self-paired tournament in that way. They just arrange their own games. You want to play a game, you want it to be rated, non-rated. They play the game, they fill out the results slip, drop it in the box, and that's all they have to do. And they can do it anytime they want within that time frame.
That's cool. So I read the 9 stones or greater. So what does the or greater mean?
Well, sometimes, of course, you might have a Don player playing some kid that's really just a beginner,
Hmm.
and it's really just meant for teaching games, right? Sometimes you have to give a 9 stone handicap, and even that's not nearly enough to make it a fun time for the
Hmm.
weaker player. So the idea, I think, when they set that up was that the adult here would generally be the stronger player, but as everybody knows, that's not always true.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
there's some
yes,
strong
that is
kids.
for the yeah, yeah. So that's really just for teaching games, right?
Gotcha.
So give them 9 stones and maybe a bunch of do-overs and suggest that they need to make a move here, that sort of thing.
Is there also a
And,
reverse
and
Comey at all?
uh, we've never done that. I mean, you could.
Okay, so it's
You
just mostly
could.
just extra stones.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I've seen people play things, weird things like 13 stone handicaps and things like that too.
Hmm.
I haven't seen that much in the bound prizes, but
I think the greatest handicap I've ever played, I think, was like 25 stones. And it was like I'm just gonna die everywhere, and then I just clicked and closed my eyes and waited for something to die.
so was that when you were a beginner, or were you white in this game?
I was white and I was playing beginners. And they were like, "How
Oh,
many stones do you think it would take?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure, but you're 25 Q, so let's try 25 and see how it goes." And they played. Unfortunately, I did win by quite a bit because
oh,
apparently,
boy.
if there's a certain level difference, if they just don't know how to make two eyes, it doesn't really matter. Um,
Right.
so there's a minimum level you have to be for any handicap to work, I guess. But it was an experience. They tried a lot of things and it just didn't quite work out. They started filling their own eyes, and I was like, well, this is I can't help you. It's 25 stones, so if I help you, I lose. If I am patient, you'll fill your own eyes and you'll just die. And that's kind of how it went. And then I pretty much never did it again because I was like, this is not very educational.
Yeah, I understand. I've never
Um,
played a game like that, but then nobody is 25 stones stronger, weaker, or no one is 25 stones weaker than I am. So literally no
what
one.
is your level?
I'm about an 8Q, officially AGA 9Q, but I haven't. I've been playing in the online league, North American Online League,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got a pretty solid 8Q. I know they don't exactly, they're not exactly the same. So I'm 8Q in that, 9Q AGA.
Okay. Bringing it back around, why was the 40-year age gap requirement chosen? What did we land on 40, and what does it bring in as far as the experience of the players?
Well, I can't really say. I mean, this
Hmm.
the event started before I was really involved in it. It had actually been around for a couple of years, I think, before the pandemic, but I never participated. Well, no, that's not true. Um, no, I never participated in it until 22. Um,
Okay.
no, that's not true. I did play a game in 19. Anyway, uh, I don't really know. I think it was just the idea that kids would play with someone that was, at least their grandparents' age, something like that.
Hmm. That's nice. Have you ever observed any particularly memorable matches or experiences between kids and adults?
I ever observed that. Well, of course, there's the biggest
Or
age
heard any
difference.
stories?
Um, there's always the cases where, you have like I said, the idea was that the adult would generally be the stronger player, but we had last year, I think there was a 14 or 15-year-old uh, who was 3 or 4 or 5 Don or something like that,
Hmm.
and was pretty much able to give a teaching game to an adult. Um, I know I played. Let's see. I think this was in must have been in Estes Park back in 22. I played a bound prize game with a girl who was 7 years old, I think, at the time, and 3 stones stronger than I am. So that was interesting.
Yeah,
I think,
kids are a humbling experience.
yeah. So I think I won that game, as I recall. But I did have a 3 stone handicap. And then, of course, there's the big age differences. Sometime I think I had to look it up. I think the biggest age difference last year was 82 years. We had,
Wow.
as I recall, I think the adult was 87 and the child was 5. So I don't remember how that game came out, but
That
that was pretty impressive.
must have been an interesting game.
Yeah, And I'm pretty sure the same adult is going to be at this year's Congress also. So he's going to be tough to beat in that category, I think.
Um, why do you think it's important to encourage players between generations?
Well, I don't know. Not sure how to answer that one.
Hmm.
Um, I guess the main thing I like playing go with kids. I've been I told you I got started at this kids club years ago, and I've continued to go to that same club pretty frequently ever since then. I like doing it, and I don't know exactly.
Okay, we can just
The
move on.
people that set this up in the first place might have a better answer for you.
No worries. Um,
All I can really say is I enjoy it. So,
so let's do that. Why do you enjoy it? What do you like so much about it?
well, a lot of times the kids, it's sort of fascinating to me that the kids in particular, especially if they get started young, they really have. Now, I was, middle aged or at least middle aged when I started playing, so I've always had to really think about it. But the kids always seem to just grasp it. They have a real intuitive way of playing.
Hmm.
They just know. It's like they're not really thinking about it at all. They just put the stones down and like magic. It's if they have a little bit of experience, quite often it's the right place, and they don't seem to have to think much about it. They do it very intuitive. They make moves that I'd have to sit and think about for 2 minutes, and that's sort of fascinating to me.
Hmm. Yeah, they're little monsters with their fast reading. You have to
Yeah,
be very careful with them.
yeah, and I I figured out. Well, I had to. I get when I first started playing. Of course, I was playing a lot of kids in tournaments because I was 15Q or something like that, and I really had to tell myself to slow down and not get sucked into
Hmm.
their pace of playing, not the tempo exactly, but they'd just be playing very, very quickly, and I'd get kind of dragged into that and start playing quickly myself, and discover that I was losing badly that way. So
Hmm.
it's something that I have to concentrate on to not get
Yeah, I think
pulled
it's
along.
very easy to get caught up in their speed. You're like play,
Yep.
and you're just play, play. So I think that's actually one of the reasons some of my students and some people in Discord say don't play AI because it'll cause you to play too fast. Because the AI is always instant response, and they say you need to play
Yeah.
more human, so that way you don't get caught in that pace. And kids are kind of like that; they'll just instant respond, and you'll get caught in their face if you're not careful.
Yep. I have definitely experienced that.
All right. Coming back around to the prizes a bit. So we already talked about what the prizes are. Um, do you have any information about like what the prizes represent or the names behind the prizes? Do you have any information about that?
I don't really. I don't. I think probably I can't remember her name, but Leonard Bound's daughter
Hmm.
and Terry Benson probably just came up with those names somehow.
No
It
worries.
just, as far as I know, that's always been the way it is.
Yeah, they are very cute and adorable. That's for sure. The Badger, Striver, the Elder Slayer, and the Dawn Destroyer I think are my favorite. The Elder Slayer
Yeah,
and the Dawn
those are
Destroyer.
good ones.
What do you think is in your experience, what do you think is the most popular or most talked about?
Most popular or talked about among those categories.
Yeah, among the prizes, like what are do they talk about like playing the most kids or playing the most adults or beating Dawn players?
I think really it's the biggest age difference. That's what seems to get really the attention.
Hmm. Biggest age difference?
Although, yeah, Although there was, I don't know if this guy's going to be at the Congress this year, but for some years it was always one adult that particularly liked playing. And always get the most game, the prize for the most games lost. I think 3 years in a row he had that.
um, what can you tell us about any of the winners of the any of the prizes?
Oh gosh, um, well, some of them, without naming names, some of them are very enthusiastic about it. They just, there's one kid, I can't remember his name, but he just seemed like he was always buzzing around asking, older adults if they want to play this bound prize game. There were two or three of those really, but nothing. I mean, it's just they're just having fun with it. It just seems like anybody that does this uh, really enjoys it.
All right, so I think we talked quite a bit about that. So hopefully that will generate a lot of interest. If we can, I want to talk to you a little bit about your own Go history and your Congress experiences. So, what is your Go history? I know you've been playing since 2007. What has your Go life been like? Or how did you get introduced to the game? And then where to go from there?
Well, I'd heard about the game, like I said before this,
Hmm.
and just luckily found that there was a club nearby. And there was actually another club that met on Sunday afternoons. That club, as I believe, is now defunct. Um, so I was going there pretty regularly. That was before the pandemic, and I don't think they ever started back up. There is there was Go Life. I guess I really prefer to play in person instead of
Hmm.
online. I do some online play, but I've found that the sort of casual, just logging on and seeing who I can find to play with me. A lot of times, I just don't relate to that very well.
Hmm.
It's just not for me. I really prefer the experience of meeting with people in person and talking a little bit during the game and reviewing the game after it's done.
Yeah, there's a
So
really
there's a
big social aspect to Go, I think.
Yeah, and you really don't get that with online games. It's really quite difficult. And in particular, it seems like there's a lot of players online who, I don't know if they're not interested in discussing the game or just it's just difficult. As soon as the game's over, they say thank you and they're gone, right?
Hmm.
And I find that a little unsatisfying. Uh,
So you
so,
mentioned
but
you heard about the game. Sorry, did you say where you heard about it from, like, or how you heard about it?
uh, I did not say. My brother used to play when he was in college or grad school. He played some, and he told me about it. Um,
That's interesting.
but he I didn't play until I didn't even attempt to play until quite a bit later than that.
Gotcha. Does he still play? Do you two
He
play every so
doesn't,
often?
and he does not, and I'm not sure why not. I couldn't even answer. I guess he just got tired of it. I don't know.
Hmm. Um, what was your first Go Congress? When did you go for the first time, and what was your first experience like?
My first Go Congress was in New York in 2014. Um, and for a couple of years, I've been trying to talk myself into spending the money and taking the time and going. And I heard, okay, it's going to be in New York. I've never been to New York. I, this is the year I'm going to go. And it was, I, I don't know, probably, I think I must have been like a 12Q player at the time. Um, But it was an interesting experience. It was in the Hotel Pennsylvania instead of the usual, small college somewhere. And there was a lot of good things about that Congress. To be honest, I told you I'd never been to New York before, so
Hmm.
I really didn't go to very many lectures and that sort of thing. I pretty much played the games and then I was out exploring the city because every time I think, well, here's a lecture I really should go to, but I'd rather go do something touristy and just look around.
Yeah, it's more for
But
the fun experience than the learning.
yeah, so that pretty much got me hooked. I've been to almost everyone since then, all but one, I think, in person.
What is
Didn't
your?
really
Sorry, did go
go ahead.
ahead.
I
Okay.
I don't know what I was saying. Go ahead.
What is your favorite part of Go Congress?
Well, I can't pick out one favorite part, but I do enjoy the opportunity to play a real serious game, like in the U.S. Open, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and the seniors tournament, for example. I plan to play in that this year also. Um, so I enjoy the opportunity to play the serious games and the lectures, although, uh, yeah, I couldn't say my lectures is my favorite part. But I like, meeting up with people. There's a bunch of people that I consider my friends that I don't know, they can't be really be close friends because I only see them once a year, but, just, catching up with people that I only see at Go Congresses. Um,
I think you can consider them close friends. I have close friends that I only talk to a couple times a year that are Go players as well. And every time we talk to each other, we catch up, and I think I consider them my close friends. So
well, okay.
yeah, I think
But, the
I.
other thing is one thing I really do enjoy
Mhm,
I it's in a different place every year,
mhm.
and I end up traveling to places that I might not have traveled and seen otherwise, and it's always interesting.
So you if to so you enjoy going to the things not just for meeting all the Go players, which is definitely a big part, but also for being a tourist in a place that you maybe not wouldn't have gone otherwise.
Right. Yeah, that's actually that's an important part of it for me.
Gotcha, gotcha. Has there been a favorite place that you have gone to in the recent congresses?
Favorite place in recent congresses? Let's see. I'm gonna have to go back and think through it here. I'm gonna have to go with, well, I really liked Estes Park, when we had the Congress there, but I've been there before, so
Mhm.
um, I think Boston, really. Out of all the Go Congresses, I really did enjoy, Boston. I actually went there, uh, a few days ahead of time and just looked around and did all the historical, uh, ogling at historical places and so forth. And, it was really easy to get around, um, do other things besides the Go Congress, and, I really liked that.
Cool. Um, what are you looking forward to the most at this coming Congress?
Looking forward to, well, let's see, again, it's kinda hard to name a single thing.
Okay, well, just something that you're looking forward to.
Compared to last year, I'm looking forward to having a little bit more time on my hands to go to lectures and do touristy things because I just said, I'm not gonna do those both of those tournaments again. It's too much.
Hmm.
So I'll be spending about half as much time doing data entry as I did last year. And, I think I maybe only went to one lecture the whole time, and, so I'm looking forward to having a little bit more time. I've actually never been to Texas unless you count being in an airport. So just checking another destination off my list, I guess. And of
Mhm.
course, we'll have to go see the famous bats in Austin. I plan to do that.
Cool. Um,
You know
oh,
about the bats, right?
sports team? Otherwise, no.
I'm sorry.
Not quite.
No, really? Oh well, there's Austin is famous for this one bridge across the river in middle of town. I can't remember what it's called. Um, but there's a particular bridge where there's some species of bat. I don't know what it is, but there's millions of bats, literally millions of bats that roost under this bridge. And every night when the sun goes down, they all come out at once and they go foraging. And it's by all accounts, it's a pretty impressive
That sounds really cool.
sight, unless then maybe not. So
uh,
that's Austin is actually kind of famous for a lot of things, but that's one of them.
you said the bats, and I was thinking maybe a favorite sports team or something, but no,
No,
literally a whole
these
thing of
are actually
bats.
little flying mammals. Yeah.
That's cool. No, I had never heard that. But I'm also not like looking up bat lore and bats stuff. But that's really cool. That sounds like an exciting thing. Make sure to take pictures. I would love to see some pictures.
Yeah. And there's actually, I think if you look on the Congress webpage under the excursions, you
Hmm.
know, I think there's excursion. I think there's a couple of, like there's a river cruise, a river bat viewing cruise or something. So that's something to look into. But I think if you just go downtown, I suspect you'll probably see them
Hmm.
if you're there at the right time.
Let's see.
But of
We
course, that's
got
like 40
the
minutes at least from Georgetown.
library, ransom center, Capitol tours, campus walking, Capitol cruise, longest bat watching sunset. There we go.
There you go.
$14 for 1 hour. Nightly bat watching sunset cruises. So literally bat tours.
Yep.
That's interesting. But yeah, that is also on the Congress page. So that's really cool. Sounds pretty cheap. Yeah, I'm just looking at the photos right now. That's like a lot of bats.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's going to be really exciting to watch.
Well,
Sure. Go
I
ahead.
plan on it anyway. I plan on doing that anyway, at least once.
Yeah, I think that'll be really, really cool. Um, Sidestepping just a little bit, what do you think about the growth of Go, and what do you think about new people getting into Go? Like, what do you think gets the new people into Go? What do you think we're doing, the AGA or the online community or in-person community? How's everyone doing with getting people into Go, and what opinions would you have about it?
Well, um, it does seem like the Congress is growing. I don't know if we're going to have a record attendance like the directors have made it their goal to have record attendance this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be kind of hard to beat Boston in 2016 because that was, of course, when AlphaGo made the big splash, and a lot of people signed up sort of late because they got
Mm-hmm.
excited about that. Um, I'm not really sure what typically gets people into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Although if you have, particularly kids, if they get started young and they're really into it, they tend to stick with it and sometimes bring their friends along.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like we're the AGA and the Congress is growing slowly, but I I don't know how to encourage people to play it. I mean, I talk to people that non-players sometimes, and I'm sure you get this reaction. You're familiar with this reaction too. You tell them a little about it, and they say, "Well, huh, that's interesting," and then
Yeah, then they walk
that's
away.
it. Yes, exactly, exactly.
No, yeah, I have a lot of experience. I think in my experience, about 1 in 100 people will actually play the game that you teach the rules of the game. Maybe one in a
Right.
hundred will actually continue playing after a month. But
And
yeah.
I've also done. I know this is not. This is a thing that is not effective. I've done some events like there will be some cultural event like we have the cherry blossom festival or something, and
Mhm.
I've done somebody else set it up, and I volunteered to. We had a booth, teach people how to play Go, and people would come by and learn the rules and say, yeah, that's real interesting, and I'll definitely come to the club sometime. And of course, they I've never seen anybody actually start showing up to a club because of that. So
Hmm.
I don't know. That seems like it's kind of fun to do, but it's if you're trying to recruit new players, it's not very effective.
I tend to agree. We have our own Cherry Blossom Festival booth and the local anime convention booth. But as far as like efforts to people actually attending the club, I think it's a lot of effort to just get maybe 2 or 3 people. And we're talking like years of doing this, and we've only gotten maybe 5 or less. So maybe one a year from doing it at best. So in your opinion, what do you think that is? What do you think we could be doing different? Or do you have any ideas?
I have no idea. The best thing I can come up with is it's just not for everybody. I mean, not
Hmm.
everybody. I was talking to there was this was a few years ago. I was sharing an office with a colleague at work, and she she's just not into playing games, right? So I was telling because I mean she was interested in what I had to say about it, because I was going, getting prepared to go to the Congress and play tournaments and so forth. But really, to her, it would just sounded like the absolute most boring thing and that she could think of. So it's just not for everybody. Um, how do you encourage or incentivize, I guess, more people to play? I don't know.
Okay, no worries.
It would be kind of nice if more people did play, but I I don't know.
Hmm. All right. So, going a little bit beyond newer players, what do you think about, or getting people into the game, but rather people who have just joined, they're like 30Q to 25Q. Do you have any tips for them to enjoy the game more, or any tips for their first Go Congress? Should they even come to Go Congress?
Well, I'd say specifically about the Congress, I enjoy going to the Congress, and I think it's, even if you're a beginner, people can be a little squirrely or kind of hesitant about, you know, sinking the time and the money into going. But if you get the opportunity, you find out that it's really the vast majority of players are just, are really like to, introduce people to the game and talk about the game. And so anybody who's really a weak player that thinks, well, I could go to the Congress, but uh, I'm going to feel out of place. I think, my advice to them is if you have the time and the money and you think you might possibly want to go, just go. It's going to be, you're going to have fun.
Cool.
Um, at least I would think so. My experience, yeah, I was a little bit stronger. I'd played in a few tournaments the first time I went to a Congress, and it was a little bit overwhelming, but I was really glad I went and met a lot of people that were just, you know, really more than willing to teach me a little bit just casually and show me some stuff that I hadn't seen before, and made some friends. It was
Cool.
pretty good.
Um,
And there's always other stuff to do anyway, like I said.
Wrapping it up here, do you have any final comments about the tournament, your own Go experience, or the Congress that you would like to share?
Um, One thing I did want to mention is I don't know if you're going to be interviewing anybody about the self-paired tournament, but I did mention that a little bit. So we have a new person running that this year, at least tentatively. Not going to be me. But everybody knows about the self-paired tournament, and one of the things that I've noticed, having run both of these tournaments or events, is so for both the self-paired and the bound prizes, they're run in much the same way, and you can play. Players who arrange a game for either one of those things can agree that the game will be either rated or unrated, and either way, it's going to count for prizes. But you either a game will be submitted for an official AGA rating or it won't. And my experience has been, and this makes perfect sense to me, I'd say at least 90% of the games in the self-paired tournament, the players choose to have them rated. So those are mostly rated games. And it's just the other way around for the bound prizes. It's more of a fun event. I'd say at least 90% of the games they choose to have unrated and just play for fun. So anybody that, it's always the player's choice, and they're always more or less friendly games. But you don't have to worry. If you don't have to worry going into that. You can always just choose to have it unrated. And like I said, the vast majority of the bound prize games are unrated.
Cool. Anything else you want to share before we wrap it up here?
I guess not.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to have this interview, and hopefully all the people that watch this will appreciate your time and effort, and the people that play this year, I'm sure will also very much appreciate your efforts. And hopefully I will see you there at the Congress, and maybe you can show me the pictures of the bats. I would love to see it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you then.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
All right. And that was our interview with Rich. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that. With that, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. It is a not a Klossy Open Review Day stream, unfortunately. Yeah, we got Vexel going live. All right, raid Vexel with our few viewers. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and with that, I will see you guys next time.